All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Sorry for the lateness. Had some technical difficulties starting the show. And I apologize, but sometimes you just run into things you can't do anything about. You just have to figure them out. So, anyways, we're all here. Thank you for hanging out with me today and every day on the internets. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Rockfin. Hello, Rockfinners. And we're live on Callin as well. Hello, Callin people. Callin people. We're here. All right. That is weird. Sorry to hear that. Denver, that's very strange. I don't even know what those are. Magnetic locking caps? Huh, that's weird. All right, so we're all here. Let's get going because it's super late, and I actually can't just go late. So, we'll start with this very interesting video from this woman, Shoshana Zuboff, who's talking about turning your personal experiences into commodities. But she correctly says that, you know, capitalism runs on taking things and turning them into commodities, right? And we've mined all the we're getting towards the end of mining all the resources, or the ability to. But let's listen to this. This is interesting.
Outside the marketplace, like innocent forests and mountainsides and rivers and fields, and dragging them into the market dynamic, turning them into commodities that can be sold and purchased. And in that sense, surveillance capitalism emulates a sort of centuries-old pattern of how capitalism grows, but with a very dark twist. It turns out we're kind of out of territories to commodify. Google.
I had to stop right there and just say, is there any darker twist? She's trying to say somehow that data mining is somehow a really dark twist, or that mining our personal experiences is a dark twist. I don't know. I think destroying nature, destroying the ability for Earth to support life in order to turn it into a commodity, and she said it very well, right? Taking things that are outside of the marketplace and bringing them into the marketplace and turning it into a commodity. That was well said. But that is the darkest twist of all, right? Destroying the habitat of Earth for the people who are using it all up, for the people that are using, you know, all of these resources, all of these things outside of the marketplace, and bringing them into the marketplace and burning up the planet in order to do so. That's the darkest twist that ever existed. So the data mining thing, yeah, it's kind of kooky and kind of wow, but it doesn't really matter, because when the lights go out and the power goes off and the AC shuts down and the data servers all melt, because, you know, there's nothing to cool them anymore. They can't function anymore because it's way too hot. Yeah, when that happens, it's not really going to matter about the data mining. Anyways, whatever.
Discovered what may be the last virgin wood, and that turns out to be our private experience. Google claimed our private experience as free raw material to be translated into behavioral data. These data would be collected from every domain. It began online, as you all know, but it now reaches far beyond online. Who's got an Alexa in their kitchen? Who's got a TV that listens? Who's walking down the street not only passing the CCTV cameras, which are public sector, but the tech companies have fought for the right to be able to take our faces from any public space without our ever knowing. Forget about consent. Forget about the right to combat. But like any factory, it makes products. In this case, it makes prediction products. What's computed are predictions of our behavior. Turns out there are a lot of businesses who have a keen interest in knowing what we will do soon and later. First to sell us targeted ads, but it doesn't stop there. There are all kinds of reasons to know what we will do in the future. What price to sell us their service or their product. Whether or not to give us an insurance policy and at what level of cost. Whether or not to give us a mortgage or a bank loan. There are lots and lots of reasons they want to be able to predict our behavior. How are we going to drive? That can influence what our auto insurance look like. There are many, many issues, and they arise in every single economic sector.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, certainly all of these things are very scary. And what she's talking about in general is what she's talking about is like social credit score, right? And strangely enough, the Biden administration declined to hire a woman. I mean, I would call this basically a social credit score, or not hiring somebody because of their personal, something going on with their personal finances. You know, I don't know. Is this, I mean, I guess, has this happened before? I guess you can call, like, if you're a public servant or if you're running for office and somebody calls in to question your personal finances, I guess that's fair game. But if you're just getting hired for a job, if somebody's just hiring you for a job and you have some financial issues, well, for one thing, you need that job. You need the job to get out of your to deal with your financial issues, right? If you can't get the job, then your financial issues will continue. But what does that have to do with you performing your work? I don't know. Hold on one second. We'll get to some other things, but I just thought this was on the back of what that woman was talking about, which is basically total surveillance and lining people up to have social credit scores. And anyways, you can't make this up. Joe Biden just refused to hire a qualified black woman because she wasn't rich enough. And then there's that, right? Rich enough is not the same as you have financial issues, right? But personal debts said to scuttle nomination of Biden's acting, this is ironic, cyber director, right? We're talking about social credit scores and surveillance. And she was in line to be a cyber director. The acting White House National Cyber Director was told in recent weeks she would not be considered to serve in a permanent role. So she's already doing this job. She's already doing the job. And they said, oh, well, we've been surveilling you. I mean, how is that for freaking, I don't know what you would call that. I mean, irony for sure. Irony for sure, but like, you are the cyber director, you're the acting cyber director, and we've been looking into you. And what we found was we're going to have to let you go, cyber director, because you are the victim of our perusals of your personal life. Awesome. I mean, it's somewhat poetic justice on some level, right? It's like people that wish other people, wish the loss of free speech on other people. When people wish censorship on other people, and then they immediately get like hit with the censorship pendulum, blam, the censorship boomerang. Didn't that happen to Status Quo one time? I think Status Quo was, they were arguing for the censorship of like Donald Trump or somebody, and immediately, like a week later, they got a strike on YouTube, or they got kicked off of YouTube. I was like, well, there you go. If you want a reason, or if you want to know why censorship is bad, because that pendulum will always swing back and hit you. You think it's going to hit the person that you don't like. Well, this person is a bad person, and they should be silenced because their ideas are bad, and they're going to lead to bad things and people thinking bad thoughts. And whoops, I can't post any more posts because I can't post any more posts because somebody thought maybe my thoughts were bad thoughts, and maybe that they didn't like the things I was saying, and maybe I could influence. Oh, you didn't think of it like that, did you? Anyways. That's an interesting story. I think that's an interesting story. Anyways, is it another train derailment in Pennsylvania, or another train derailment? We'll get to that. Top story today on MDC Online: the flood of climate change impacts has finally broken through. The suppression or reticence to report it seems can't explain it away anymore. I mean, sure. I think it does break through here and there because it's hard to ignore, right? You have to cover it eventually. You're like, hey, say, something's different out there. What could it be? Well, I don't know. Could it be climate change? Heat, flooding, and smoke. The U.S. is in the midst of a summer of extremes. This year's events have yet to be thoroughly analyzed, but scientists see the string of events as a part of a larger, undeniable pattern of extremes that's intensifying over time. Of course. Scientists have predicted a climate of extremes in report after report as Earth warms because humans continue to belch. That's a good word. Belch fossil fuel pollution into the atmosphere. And now it's here. With a dizzying slew of broken records and heartbreaking scenes. The images of smoky Central Park in sepia. Kayaks floating on the streets of Montpelier, Vermont. Packed cooling centers in Arizona still provide a shock even for those expecting them. All of this is entirely consistent with what greenhouse gas warming does and is in line with the trends we expect, said Ben Zaitchik, a professor in the Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Johns Hopkins University, said of the extreme event. Still, there's something that feels surprising, emotionally surprising, when you see these things happening with increasing frequency and severity. Anyways, these are all things that we have been covering anyways. Water temperatures in Florida Keys. Look at that bit of anomaly there. Flames. This is from fires in British Columbia. Smoke. Road was damaged from heat in Houston. Flooding. Floods. Home surrounded by floodwaters of the re-emerging Tulare Lake. Oh, right. All this. Oh, right. All the snowpack is melting. So now we're going to get. Now we're going to get all the floods in California too. Earth had its hottest recorded day for average global temperatures earlier this month. Sea surface temperatures have been record hot since mid-March. Canada saw more acreage burned this year by wildfires than any other year on record, etc. We've been covering every single one of these stories. So, the big melt of California snowpack flooded more than 110,000 acres of premium farmland in California. Premium farmland. Sinking tractors, electrical equipment, and farmhouses. A dozen atmospheric river storms built a snowpack roughly 3 times as large as is typical this winter in the southern Sierra Mountains. Because a warmer atmosphere can absorb more water vapor, atmospheric rivers are expected to grow stronger as the world warms. Phoenix officials said they were frightened for unsheltered residents as the city reported its 13th day above 110 Fahrenheit on Thursday as a prolonged heat wave cooked the desert southwest. The weekend forecast called for a high temperature of 118 in Phoenix. Death Valley, California could approach 130. I think it got very close. Anyways, that's the news for the normies, I guess. Well, it has been kind of strange. Huh. Yeah, the weather, it has been kind of hot lately. We have been experiencing a lot of floods and tornadoes and such. I don't know. What should we do? Valhalla says, I moved from a large metroplex to a rural area in central Kentucky that is actually cooler than the city. The only weather condition this area has is tornadoes. Yeah. Well, that's nice. If you're cooling off, that's good. The cities, they do tend to be hot, right? The heat island effect. Let's see. I'm just anyways. Oh, this is crazy video. Did everybody see this one? Of protesters. I'm going to say this is well, it's Europe. I don't know exactly where it is. Is it the UK? Hold on. I don't think maybe. Oh, I think it's Italy. Yeah, I didn't think it was the UK. But I'm not sure. It's either Italy or Germany, somewhere. Anyways, these people are just going nuts with people blocking the roads. You know, okay. Oh, I think it's Germany. I'm not sure. Dang. And they're being really, really great about it. I mean, the protesters are really, like, doing a good job of not retaliating. We just got to keep doing the things, guys. We got to keep doing it. And as long as people are telling us that it's all fake and somebody made it up and the Klaus Schwab made it up or something, or the Club of Rome made it up, or the Rockefellers made it up or something, you know, as long as people are just out there just blasting this idea out to people, well, then you can keep going, right? It's actually, you know, the oil companies, fossil fuel companies are like, thanks, guys. Good job. Did you get our envelope? Cool. I'm not saying that's happening in every case, but oh dang, buddy, yeah, be careful out there. Be careful. Yeah, as long as it's as long as it's just a figment of the people in power's imagination. Well, who are they to stop us from driving our vehicles anywhere we want to go and having stuff and eating food and growing food and making stuff? Who are they to stop us? They're crazy. I'm one of 8 billion human beings, and I deserve to have everything that I want. And I mean, it's kind of funny, just from a philosophical standpoint. It's kind of funny, right? Because you got to be real myopic, I guess. You got to have some serious blinders on to think like, here we are, 8 billion humans on the planet. And I don't know, we got here out of, from all our ingenuity and our tenacity, and somebody's trying to stop us from, apparently somebody's trying to stop us from having all, doing all the things and having all the things that we could possibly have anytime that we wanted. And there's absolutely no issue with that. And if you say so, you're a crazy person. That's where we are these days. That is where we are. These days. There's no issue with this many people doing this many things on the planet, and if you say something about it, you're crazy. Okay. I guess so. I don't know. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt and think like, well, maybe you're just confused. But there are some times when I'm listening to people talk and I'm just like, you are not that dumb. I know you're not that dumb. I know you're not that stupid, and this sounds intentional to me. Because it just sounds like a big brain scramble. It sounds like, well, I can, here's all this data and evidence over here. Here's all this stuff. Here's all these things I can point to very clearly. And then, whoops, and I just throw something completely upside down in there. And you're supposed to expect everybody to go, yeah, that too. I know. I'm kind of ranting, and I'm not being very specific either, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. Death Valley heat wave. It's hot in Death Valley. That's why it's called Death Valley. You can catch your death there. Death Valley heat wave. Final figure yesterday, astonishing 129 at Stovepipe Wells. 128.5 at Badwater. They both beat Furnace Creek with 127.7. Jesus, that's hot. World record of nighttime temperature. Badwater after midnight was still 120 Fahrenheit. I think the low was 105, if I saw that correctly. Sorry, you can't see that. But there's going to be, I predict, and I predict pretty much every day, there's going to be a time. There, you can already see the grasping of the logic, the grasping at logic around what, why climate change isn't a thing to worry about, Oh, we're polluting the planet. Oh, we're doing really bad things. Oh, sure, there are some problems, but this whole climate change thing, extreme weather, you say? No, that's nothing to talk about or think about. Melting ice caps? No, that's nothing to talk about. There's just there's a bit of a a fumbling, kind of thing when people start talking about climate change these days, and they're on full on the denier train. It starts to get a little weird sometimes because they start going like, sure, we might have some negative impacts on the planet. We could be doing some things that are bad. I don't know. What are you talking about? Freight train derailment in Pennsylvania prompts evacuations. But it's partly, people living in the state of denial, right? And denial is strong in the humans. Denial is strong in humans. Especially when you're confronted with something that you don't want to acknowledge, something that is scary, something that might be painful, something that might bring up feelings of distress. And you go, nope, that ain't happening. that's a totally human emotion. So what can I say? Anyways, another train derailment in Pennsylvania prompts evacuations, but nothing to worry about. That's what the officials said. Precautionary evacuations were ordered for those closest to the scene, and officials said it is not believed, we don't believe it, that further evacuations will be necessary. The orders were later lifted. No reported injuries or hazards to the public, so far as we know. While preliminary reports indicate that one car transporting hazardous material was involved in the incident, there is no indication of any leaks or spills of hazardous materials, and there are no injuries to the crew of the train. Oh, couldn't see that either. Woo! It's hot in here, y'all. That's all I got to say. It's hot as heck. What is it? What's the forecast for today? Oh, I forgot to say, it's supposed to get up to 90, they say. 90, they say. Let's see, I'll read you the forecast for my town. 90, 91, 94, 97, 99, 100, 102, 101, 97. That's the next week. That's the next week for me. And 90 might be the coolest it'll be for the next 8 or 9 days. Oh, I already did this one. Oh, so Poppy sent me this. We've talked about lead. Have you ever eaten paint chips? Sorry. Cables all lead, never removed. This is from Fantomas. Sorry. Fantomas sent me this. We talk about, am I going to be able to read it? It's a question. America is wrapped in miles of toxic lead cables. Telecom companies laid them decades ago, and thousands were left behind, posing a hidden health hazard today. Yeah. Lead. It's everywhere. And it took a really long time to get lead out of gasoline. Because Not because they didn't know it was bad for people. It was because there was a whole industry, a whole lobby against getting lead out of gasoline, led by who? The fossil fuel companies. There was a lead lobby. That's right. AT&T, Verizon, and other telecom giants have left behind a sprawling network of cables covered in toxic lead that stretches across the U.S. under the water, in the soil, and on poles overhead. Great. A Wall Street Journal investigation found as the lead degrades, it is ending up in places where Americans live, work, and play. The lead can be found on the banks of the Mississippi River in Louisiana, the Detroit River in Michigan, the Willamette River in Oregon, and the Passaic River in New Jersey, according to the journal's tests of samples from nearly 130 underwater cable sites. Conducted by several independent laboratories. The metal has tainted the soil at a popular fishing spot in New Iberia, Louisiana, at a playground in Wappingers Falls, New York, and in front of a school in suburban New Jersey. The U.S. has spent decades eradicating lead from well-known sources such as paint, gasoline, and pipes. The journal's investigation reveals a hidden source of contamination. More than 2,000 lead-covered cables that hasn't been addressed by the companies or environmental regulators. These relics of the old Bell Systems regional telephone network and their impact on the environment haven't been previously reported. They're just like, maybe we'll just leave them here and nobody will notice. I'm positive that was the conversation. Well, we don't have to clean them up if nobody tells us to. Let's see how long this can go on for. Lead levels in sediment and soil at more than 4 dozen locations tested by the journal exceeded safety recommendations set by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and those recommendations are pretty loose. At the New Iberia fishing spot, lead leaching into the sediment near a cable in June 2022 measured 14.5 times the EPA threshold for areas where children play. We've been fishing here since we were kids, said Tyron Jones, 27 years old, who grew up a few blocks away. For many years, telecom companies have known about the lead-covered cables and the potential risks of exposure to their workers, according to the documents and interviews with former employees. They were also aware that lead was potentially leaching into the environment, but haven't meaningfully acted on potential health risks to the surrounding communities or made efforts to monitor the cables. So they knew about it, and they were like, yeah, maybe nobody will notice. Maybe nobody will notice. Doctors say that no amount of contact with lead is safe, whether ingested or inhaled, particularly for children's physical and mental development. Even without further exposure, lead can stay in the blood for about 2 or 3 months and be stored in bones and organs longer. Risks include behavior and learning problems and damage to the central nervous system in children, as well as kidney, heart, and reproductive problems in adults. Yeah. The journal's findings suggest there is a significant problem from these buried lead cables everywhere, and it's going to be everywhere, and you're not even going to know where it is in a lot of places, said Linda Birnbaum, a former EPA official and director of the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, a federal agency. Oh, wow. In Coal Center, Pennsylvania. It's a lovely name. Medical tests independently sought by the mother of 6-year-old twins, Joanna and Bo Bibby, and shared with the journal, showed that they had high levels of lead in their blood. The tests were taken a few days after they played in a lot next to their house under a drooping cable. In response to the journal's reporting, AT&T and Verizon and other telecom companies that succeeded Ma Bell said they don't believe cables in their ownership are a public health hazard or a major contributor to environmental lead. No, it's not a problem, considering the existence of other sources of lead closer to people's homes. What? They said they follow regulatory safety guidelines for workers dealing with lead. Okay, well, come on, man. Yeah, so they gave the standard like, no, we care about this problem, but it isn't a problem because we said so. So there you go. Until somebody wants to hold our feet to the fire and actually tell us that we're lying through our teeth, and then we'll go, well, okay, it's kind of a problem. Okay, do we have to do something about it? You're gonna levy fines on us to do something? Okay, all right, okay, I guess, okay. Just kidding. I guess we'll do it. That's a good one, G. Demarest. Thomas Midgley, yeah. Thomas Midgley invented both Freon and tetraethyl lead. He single-handedly killed the most people in history. Could be, right? Could be. He's responsible for all those leaded deaths. Hey, what's up, Phantom? How you doing?
I mean, the only kind of positive note is AT&T lost 7% today on the stock exchange.
Right, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but they'll gain it again. They'll gain it back. I'm sure.
I'm sure nobody's really flooding the fact that they can just have an endorsement, sign up another person to do a AT&T commercial, and it's all lovely again.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, in the long run, it's not really going to matter. I mean, is this going to lead to some kind of action against the telecom companies to clean this up? Are they going to be held responsible? Is the EPA going to do something about it? Is there going to be some kind of, whatever, action taken? What's going to come of this? And how long will it take for this, supposed action to happen, right?
Well, I mean, there's so many issues in terms of the environment every way you look. There's the Pennsylvania derailment, the train derailment today.
Right.
The evacuation of the homes. There's the there's the issue with the lead cables. There's the issue with Saudi Arabia and water.
Right. Oh, I need to read that one too.
Yeah.
I need to get to that one. There's so many things to talk about.
You know what I was thinking, and this is something that I think that would be interesting if somebody did a documentary on bottled water companies in particular and who owns them and the background and history of these people, like Voss Water, versus instead of just talking about the actual company, but talking about the people who started it. And the fact that they have the audacity and the gall to pretend that they're earthly, they're earth hippies, or they're sustainable, or they're for the environment.
Oh, you broke up there. Still there? You still there, Phantomas? We lost you.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. What were you saying?
I was saying how I think it's crazy the fact that a lot of these water companies pretend to be these for the environment, green energy, and the fact that they stamp things on their bottle with pictures of trees and shit like that.
Right.
And nobody calls
certified green. Yeah.
I know. And the funny thing is nobody calls them out. So to me, that would be great. If any directors are listening, you should do a movie on these water companies, the founders of these, where they came from, all of these people, because there's so many damn companies that you'll see in these convenience stores. And what's crazy, here's the craziest thing about it all of it tastes the damn same. It's not like a variance of different drinks, this one tastes like lemonade, this one tastes like that's the greatest con of all.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Well,
the greatest con of all.
They're all packaged in plastic.
Yeah.
of varying degrees of toxicity. Right. And I don't believe for a second that, all the water is of a high quality. I don't believe for a second that, storing them in plastic is safe on any level. I don't believe that, obviously the plastic itself is not great for the environment on any level. I mean, we keep seeing reports too of like organic food isn't really organic, right? The things that you're supposed to be, the regulations that you are relying on to keep you safe and somewhat healthy are not only super lax, but just not enforced. They might not even be enforced, to the degree that they are supposed to be. I mean, it's all a crapshoot, right? And we're not. Yeah, I mean, like I would like to know, the insides of the industry, the water bottling industry, but I'm sure lots of people would like to see that documentary. But
well, I think the problem is that we are stuck in what I would call feel good heroin moments where everybody, if you start talking about serious issues to someone who is of the industry who claims to be for the environment, you can see them visibly get mad. Right. When you start talking about the reality of where we are, the fact that they don't even think about it really does show you exactly how well the corporatocracy that we live in they played this game so fucking well.
Right. And that's all it is. It's just a game. It's just a money go round game. It's just it's a glad handing public relations. It's just one big marketing scam, right? It's just like, here you go, buy the stuff. You're going to love it. It's very convenient. It's cheap. And you're going to buy it and use it up because you need it and everybody else is doing it and nobody's offering you any other different ways to get your food or your water or exist on this planet. Like, this is the way that everybody else does it. So we're all going to do it together. Yay. And all of it is one big, poison machine, really, for the planet. And we're stuck in this machine until we can break out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the fact that they've deceived so many people, all of these bright, brilliant musicians who claim to be green, empowered, and all of this stuff, and it's crazy because they're so hypnotized by anything that any type of commercial or any type of endorsement, they're on it, and it makes you wonder like how fast they're duped. Really brilliant people are really duped really, really fast in music and the art world for some reason.
Sure. And most of it is for, they're duped. They see the green in clouds, pretty much everything else, right? There used to be, as I said, there used to be a thing about not selling out.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I remember it was a very big deal to not sell out and quote unquote not sell out. And that there actually was a moment when that switched, when everybody was like, oh, you go get that money, right? You sell that commercial, you sell that product, you get that product placement, you get your song placed on, the most heinous corporate commercial possible. Get that money. It doesn't matter where it's coming from, that it's blood money. It doesn't matter where it's coming from, that it's, killing the planet. It doesn't matter. Just get that money. You just get that money and you do you. And I mean, it's just like, what the F?
I mean, it's crazy to think about the fact that George Clinton is a Kamala Harris supporter.
Yeah, whatever.
He would never be invited. Well, he would be now, but what I'm saying is he was a freebasing hippie, basically, for music, and he challenged the status quo. And now you look at how all these people, I look at all the musicians and all the artists, and they go so fast for anything that's establishment. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, that just happens to people, not just musicians, but anybody. You get a little money and you get a little like comfort, and you're like, well, I like this money and I like this comfort, and I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm not going to do anything that jeopardizes this money and this comfort. Like, hell no. What are you asking me to do? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
And I don't know, but there just seems to be. It seems to be like doing things, for the reason like it's the right thing to do, or for altruistic reasons, or for morals or ethical, like all of that. That used to be something that people did back in the day. They would do things, that would be uncomfortable because it was the right thing to do. They would do things for ethical or moral reasons, and it just that is almost nowhere to be found. It's very rare these days to see somebody, stand up and put their life, their reputation, and their money on the line because they're going to do something for ethical reasons. It is very rare. It's a very rare thing.
I guess it's tough to keep that balance when you have so many things coming at you in terms of, you're an artist, you're the business, the management side, the social media, and then you have to worry about the earth. I can see why people just slip.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. But Kev, it's great talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling in.
All right, peace out.
All right, man. The time goes by so fast. Whatever shall we do? Oh, by the way, somebody was saying, who was asking me? Valhalla was asking me if the guy who invented lead killed more people than Hitler. Or was asking in the chats about that. I don't know if he was asking me directly, but by the way, Valhalla, for trivia's sake, King Leopold of Belgium killed like 10 million Africans, conquering settling Africa, going and taking it. So there's somebody that killed more people than Hitler in recent history, in the last couple hundred years. King Leopold. Now, did Midgley kill more than 10 million people? It's possible. It's possible. What's up, William? How you doing?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. How's it going?
How about the American Indians? What those numbers?
Great point, man. Great point. How many American Indians died at the hands of the conquering Brits and Americans, right?
Yeah, I've heard 75 mil to 150 mil. That's a big.
75 million to 150 million? Wow.
Yeah. Include the Canada, North America,
Well, let's Google it. Let's Google it and see what they say.
Go for it, brother.
Wait, let's see. Let's see.
In my research, those are the ranges.
Following Christopher Columbus's arrival. Wow, you weren't too far off. Following Christopher Columbus's arrival in North America in 1492, violence and disease killed 90% of the indigenous population, nearly 55 million people. All right, we have a winner. Jesus Christ. So there you go. Colonization. Colonialism killed more people than King Leopold. There you go. 55 million. They're saying on Google 55 million.
Yeah, but they're going to downplay it.
Of course they will. So it's probably more than that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've seen other numbers.
And they're saying just in westward expansion alone,
right,
12 million. Just in westward expansion. Hold on. There's varying numbers. 56 million, 12 million. Yeah, but that's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. 90% of the native, and we're not. I think we're talking about North America only, right? Or are we talking about all of?
I think
all the Americas.
But that stuff's just the United States. I don't think that includes. I don't know if that includes.
I mean, because there were several. When the conquistadors got to South America, right? Quite a few. I mean, native people in South America died by the millions because of disease. In the Caribbean, everywhere. Wow. Yeah, well, there you go. That's even more people.
No, something else I want to
unbelievable. What?
Well, you mentioned, is there a globalist movement to depopulate it? I dropped an article on the live chat in their own words. You might want to check it out. Off the top of your head, consider what would the population be without world wars, bioweapons, abortion, pharmaceutical sick care industry, GMOs, poisoning of the food, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, water pollution, manufactured sacrifice zones. I don't know, bro. Are they trying to kill us, or is it just all for profit? You know what I
Well,
mean? Remember.
yeah, I mean, I think there's, again, like I was saying, collateral damage.
Yeah.
They don't, whatever you want to call it. Just the the attrition, natural attrition due to, whatever it is that we're doing to the planet or doing to people, for profit. But, that's not the same as depopulation. Just not caring if people die and especially if there's more people coming, right? Oh, it doesn't matter that this many people are going to perish in this particular war or this particular vaccination program or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, or this, bioweapons test, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter that these people are going to die because there'll be more. They're going to make more. I think that's different than. I think that's a different idea than. Well, we're definitely going to take down this many. Take the population down by this many because we have this target goal in mind. Like, I don't know. It's not the same thing.
Hey, Joe, check out that article. I'm going to give you a couple of quick quotes from it. You ever hear Jacques Cousteau, UNESCO? With UNESCO. There's some quotes in there that'll blow your mind. The Initiative for the United Nations, ECO 92 Earth Charter.
I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with with decades long idea that United Nations and all these other entities were the Rockefellers and all these entities were kind of whatever. I'm familiar with the idea that they were like taking up a Malthusian, if you will,
yes,
concept and taking it forward. Again, though, as I said yesterday, I don't see it hasn't done anything to the population. So, I mean, if this is really going on, or if this is the long-term plan, like, when is it going to take effect? Because the population of the planet is still growing.
Right, but what would it? One question, the way to look at it, what would it be if those measures haven't been taken?
Well, sure, right. If these are just slowing the overall effect of overpopulation, I guess. Sure, but still, it doesn't seem to be again just like the climate change discussion. Like, okay, so if climate change is a control mechanism and it's being used to do something on the planet. Well, there's been discussions for decades about climate change and what we need to do, and we haven't done any of those things. Barely.
Right.
I mean, Jesus Christ, George W. Bush just 20 years ago killed the electric car, right? Yeah. I mean, they're going whole hog on everybody's got to buy an electric car, and we love renewables, and we're going to mine a bunch of lithium and destroy the planet that way. That's relatively. I mean, the amount of time that has been actually, an actual reality or a meme, I guess, if you will, is so incredibly short. Like, that has only been accepted, like, literally in like the last 10 years. That has become like, oh, okay, we're going to go electric now. Because in 2000, 20 years ago, George Bush killed the electric car and was giving people incentives to buy Hummers. I mean, you got like $1,000 cash back or more to buy a SUV or a big gas guzzling car. And they killed the electric car and they took it off the market. And it took Tesla, I don't know how many more years to actually like start pumping out electric cars in a way that made people go like, all right, maybe I'll get a Tesla. But it literally has only happened in the last 10 years. So it's so absolutely, new. I mean, before that, absolutely nothing was happening as far as like, well, we've got to address this climate change thing. Nope, not in any way, shape, or form. It was expand, more. No. I just don't, so this idea that this has been like a long-term evil plot, man, it kind of, it's hard for me to go, okay, because I just haven't seen the end goal of it at all. And if you want to say like, well, it's, I don't know. But if it's a new thing, if it's a new wrinkle, and they're like, well, suddenly we're concerned for the planet. Okay, sure. But it's just, the idea that this has been going on for decades. I don't know. I'm slightly skeptical of it, and I'm sure I know that there's been a eugenicist idea for a long time floating around out there, and I get all that, but it's. I don't think that is been as earth shaping or historically, has been historically significant on any level. It is just not historically significant. And people want to, they might want to bring it up now, like, oh, this is their big plan. Okay, yeah, sure. All of a sudden, maybe it might be a big plan, but I mean, it's just historically insignificant to me. As way less significant than the march of technology and the destruction of the planet. It's the same with like, I don't know. Anyways.
So, well, as much time as you want to spend on it, when we call back tomorrow, we were talking about going to Rockton, and you want to do that tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, bro.
Let's do it. Thanks for calling in, William.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there've been, there have been evil people with evil plans, for as long as humans have been around, I'm sure. But nothing beats good old-fashioned human sloppiness, like really haphazard, like, how about this seems pretty neat, why don't we do this, why don't we build a nuclear bomb, this seems pretty cool, how about nuclear power, this seems pretty cool, how about yeah, I know, Serenity, yeah, I know, there are a lot of people that pump out that overpopulation and climate change is a hoax. Again, that's who I'm pointing to when I say, that there are people out there that are really smart and really capable of putting things together. And when they get to the overpopulation climate change thing, it's just like all that logic and all that journalism just suddenly does this like weird about face, and I'm just like, all right, that wasn't based on anything. That's just based on your opinion, and it's just interesting to me. And sometimes I feel like, well, they're just really entrenched in this idea. Nobody wants to be wrong. And there are probably very human reasons for not wanting to acknowledge it. And then there are probably some people out there that are getting a fat envelope for pushing that out there, right? Because that fat envelope, that particular message allows things to continue, to go on and have people, pull protesters out of the road like they're crazy, right? To call anybody who's involved in, I actually heard one journalist say that anybody who was concerned with the health of the planet or was believed in climate change, that they were they all were anti-human and they wanted to kill people. I was like, yeah, that's just the most brilliant thought I ever heard. So that's how wild like this idea. But the thing is that it's just reached that level of like, well, I'm just going to deny this thing just so heavily that it just defies logic. And that's weird to me. That's weird to me. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Anyways. Oh, real quick, guys, before I go, best possible ways to support the show. PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom. Venmo @Kevin Sandbloom. Cash App @Red Llama Music. BuyMeACoffee.com. And BuyMeACoffee.com/Black Bear News. Andre, thank you for the... Andre got me some coffees yesterday. Thank you, Andre. I appreciate it. But I'll see you all tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Until next time, peace.